Hello, Legit KidLit viewers. I'm Tiffany. Please join me in welcoming author and teacher Mark Snoad. As a
Hi.
professional make-believer, he strives to find magic and joy in everyday life. Mark lives in New Zealand with his wife, his two daughters, and rascal dog Wilbur, who might be making an appearance later. And
Yes,
his debut novel, Maggie and the Mountain of Light, was published on April 4th. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Through Monarch Press. How are
Yeah.
you, Mark?
Oh, I'm fantastic. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here all the way from New Zealand. So yes, it's in the future for America on Sunday morning. But yeah, it's a delight to be here and to talk to everybody today. So thank you for having me.
Of course. Can you please describe your book in 5 words? And do you have one to show, a copy to
Yes,
show us?
yes, I've got a book. So they arrived just a day or two before the official launch day. So that's
Awesome.
the book, Maggie and the Mountain of Light. Yes, it was an interesting challenge thinking of 5 words. So the 5 words that I kind of thought of were magical, playful, adventurous, surprising, and illuminating. So
Ooh.
yeah, so there's some big words in there, but certainly it's a magical adventure that actually has a few twists and turns and has some laugh out loud moments, and also shared some light on some issues in life. Yeah.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about your inspiration for writing this book?
Yes, so the inspiration and the artist has drawn this. So the artist, the illustrator, is hand drawn. That's actually a picture of my daughter, Michaela, who was when she was 12 years old. That was an inspiration for the drawing.
Wow.
So that, yeah. And the reason that is because the Maggie, my main character in Maggie and the Mountain of Light, has severe food allergies, asthma, and anxiety. And that is exactly what my eldest daughter, Michaela, has gone through in her life. So Michaela is now 21. She's done lots of amazing things in her life already, but she's been had struggled or battled severe food allergies as well as anxiety. So taking some inspiration from her and seeing what Michaela did in terms of she got the Queen's Guide Award. So she's done very much in girl guiding. We call it girl guiding in New Zealand, and I think in America it's called Girl Scouts.
Okay.
Yeah, so the guiding and scout movement. And the top award in that is called the Queen's Guide in New Zealand. I don't know if it's the same in America.
Okay.
And yeah, and she also has gone to university, and she's helped form the performing arts program at university. They put on their very first big show last year at a really big theatre in our main city at Auckland. Yeah, so allergies and anxiety haven't stopped her from doing things, and I wanted to have that with Maggie. So Maggie is part of Wayfinder Girls, and Wayfinder Girls is like a Girl Scouting organization, except they have a bit more of a magical mandate or a magical task. Rather than just doing awesome things that they do in activities, they also protect the world against interdimensional threats. And somehow Maggie gets involved in all of that thing as well. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you for explaining that better.
Okay.
Let's kind of get to know your main character, Maggie, a little even more. So, if Maggie had a favorite TV show, what would she be binging right now?
Yes, that's a good question. I couldn't just limit it to one, but we went to some classic favorites. Phineas and Ferb was definitely one. Miraculous Ladybug, Julie and the Phantoms, and of course High School Musical, the series. So
Oh,
some of her
okay.
favorites.
Let's talk about Julie and the Phantoms really fast. What is going on with season 2? Is it coming out? I don't know, but Maggie and I need to figure this out because
Yes, yes. Maggie
it's
would
one of
love
my
to see
favorites.
season 2. She loves it such, and Michaela would too. Loved the show. Couldn't believe they wouldn't making more of them.
I
Knew
know.
a huge fan base was there. Yeah. So yeah, exactly. What's going on? What's going on?
Yeah. Yeah. We need to write to somebody here. Come on now. What are 2 character traits that describe Maggie?
Anxious, and determined. And they're
Mm.
quite interesting that you've got anxiety, that you battle anxiety and quite strong anxiety, and anxious about lots of things, but also determined to actually do stuff and do her best and still be involved in life and activities and stuff. Yeah.
Speaking of anxiety really fast, I know a lot of people put a negative spin on that word and they think, if you have anxiety, it's a bad thing. But I don't really feel that way necessarily. Like I battle with anxiety too. And there are good parts about that. Would you agree? Like it helps you to be prepared sometimes.
Yes,
um,
absolutely. I feel it's like if you're involved in anything, and a whole thing about having nerves, and if you're not
mhm.
nervous about something, you may not actually be invested in that much. So
Yeah.
some anxiety comes from that you really care about what's happening,
Hmm.
and you want to make do the best you can, and
Hmm.
so it's kind of natural that as humans we all have some anxiety. It's
Yeah.
and yes, no, it's not. It's not a, always a bad thing,
Hmm.
um, but it can become a runaway thing that can
Sure.
dominate. And so it's that line of making sure how you manage that anxiety and
Definitely.
what support you get. But no, you do need some, like, if you just like if you're doing a speech in front of the whole school, surely you feel a bit
Right.
anxious. you're not
Right.
you're not just going to turn off and go, oh, this is easy, this is fun, because
And if you do, then good for you. But
yeah,
but most of us, yeah, we get a little anxious before
yeah,
speaking in front of people or things like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
correct, absolutely, yeah.
So if Maggie was stuck on a deserted island, what three things would she make sure to take with her?
Yeah, so she would bring, first of all, she'd bring a book. So definitely a book, because you need that on a deserted island. She'd bring her meds bag, and that's something that's unique to Maggie's. She has her meds bag, which stays with her the whole time, and she'd have a drink bottle. She almost has an ever-present drink bottle with her. So she'll have water and some
Yeah.
medication and something to do. Yeah.
Sounds good. What is something that she is afraid or feel fearful of?
So this is a funny one because Maggie is afraid of everything, and that sounds it's not something made up. So in the book, and this is a direct kind of quote from my daughter Michaela, Maggie's even scared of going over a bridge. So it
Mm.
doesn't matter how big the bridge is or how long it's been in existence. She's just worried. How does she know it doesn't? The bridge won't collapse. So she
Sure.
has runaway fears and anxiety. So and everything is a little bit anxiety inducing for her.
Mhm.
So yeah, and part of that comes from always being aware of food allergies. So as a
Mhm.
food allergic kid, anytime you're away where somewhere there's food, that can send you an anaphylactic shock. So
Mm.
that's kind of like always scanning what's happening, what's going on. Oh, is that safe? Is that safe? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's Maggie's favorite snack?
Her favorite snack is
Yes.
rice crackers. So
Okay.
that's rice crackers. Yeah. So that's a nice snack. If you can have a bit of hummus with it, that would be nice too. But yeah, rice crackers,
Mm.
nice and easy, nice and safe. Yeah. Yeah.
I love hummus too.
Yeah.
Speaking of snacks, do you have a favorite writing snack?
Probably it's not that great, but chips and cheese. So yeah, crisps, chips and cheese.
Like
It's
hard, like what kind of cheese? Do you do the spray cheese or just like a
oh no,
block of cheese?
yeah, block
Any
of cheese,
cheese?
cheddar. Yeah, cheddar cheese, really. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, some chips and cheese, and I munch on them. I go, oh, and then they go quite quickly.
Got to limit the
Yeah,
chips.
exactly. That's right. Don't have the packet, just have the little bowl, or else
Yes,
yes, yes.
yes. When you're writing, what comes first for you, the characters or the plot, and why?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's a bit of both for me. So when I was thinking about Maggie and the Mountain of Light, I had the character of Maggie a
Mhm.
little bit in my mind, but I had these characters of these Wayfinder girls who were going these magical adventures. And I had this one character that was strong that wasn't Maggie, which was a different character who, when they were doing this quite challenging and difficult and scary thing, they managed to succeed, and everybody else was a bit shocked. But she folded her arms and said, "Well, are we going to get a badge for this?" And that kind of like inspired some other character development, and then the plot. So in Maggie and the Mountain of Light, the Mountain of Light is actually a real thing. So you can actually Google Mountain of Light now, and it will tell you what the Mountain of Light is. So it's an actual real thing in the world that is a little bit of a controversial thing. So I had this idea actually through my students that I teach in my classes, my Afghani refugees, who told me a little bit about it. It's called the Koh-i-Noor diamond. So it's something that I had this plot idea, and then these characters, and they kind of joined together. Yeah. So that's kind of
cool.
Yeah. And I think different authors have different writers have different strategies for doing that. And for me, Maggie and the Mountain of Light was the second book I've written. The first one's been published, but the first book was a fantasy novel that I was a young adult one. And it was kind of, as you're writing that and trying to get that known or trying to get representation for that, then other ideas creep in.
Yeah.
And popping into your head and seeing things. And so I went a little different track with Maggie.
Interesting. So let me get this straight. So you just said you wrote, you had your first novel, which is going to be published?
Maybe one day I need to
Maybe
rewrite.
one day. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But then the second one, that's interesting though, because like some, students, maybe they start to write something and maybe they wrote their first novel and then they're like, you know what, this isn't really going anywhere. Like maybe they send it away to competitions or things.
Yes,
but
exactly.
The second one, maybe, they have to keep going.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's some really good advice. And sometimes it's hard advice to hear is to write the next one. And we can get really trapped into just on our one story and really trying to develop it. And it might be the story that's really, really meaningful for us. And as I say, the story of our heart. But then sometimes we can get a bit overwhelmed by it or just stuck in it. And we're not actually developing our writing skill. We're not developing our writing talent. So to start a second book, it takes you away from that first one and helps you. I don't know. It probably helps you be a better writer. Yeah. And I actually queried my publisher, Monarch Press, on my first book. And they said they really enjoyed it, but there was these things that needed to be improving. And they asked, have you got anything else? And if I hadn't anything else, that would have been the end of the story. That would have been, thanks. Nice to know you. All the best. Hope to see you in a year's time if you've rewritten it. But I said, I've got this story about Maggie and the Mountain of Light. And here we are a year a bit later and a published author. So
cool.
Yeah.
Now, did you do a lot of research for you? You kind of mentioned a few different things that like the real live.
Yes. So
how much research did you do?
Yeah. So it is a fantasy novel. So it's a contemporary fantasy. And a contemporary fantasy means it's kind of set in the real world now. Although it's set probably a little a year or so earlier than we are now. And so I've done a lot of research into the Mountain of Light. So what that actually is and what it does. The novel is set in England. And so there's a lot of place names in England, including the Tower of London, including a place called Ducks Manor, including some people that I did a lot of research about to make sure that I was as accurate as possible representing them. So I've had some people that have been reading through the book and go, oh, hang on, is that actually true? And then they'll Google it and they'll find out that, some of the things are written in the book have historical accuracy. So there are some non-fiction aspects of the book. I also want to make 100% sure I was giving a true reflection of what it's like to be a food allergic family. I've got personal experience in that, being a dad of a food allergic daughter, but certainly other things that you want to make sure what representation you're giving is accurate and real. And one other thing is that I research into the Fae. So the Fae are the world of the fairy folk, quite strong. There's been lots of stories written about the Fae over the years, and it can go back hundreds of years. And I wanted to also make sure I've got some kind of sense of how I'm communicating that in this book. So I take a slightly different journey with the Fae than most other writers have done. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. We can't wait to read the book so we can see exactly what you're talking about. Now, when you were a kid, did you read a lot of fantasy, or like what type of books did you usually
Yes, I
grab?
absolutely loved fantasy. So I was a fantasy buff. I actually, when I was about 10 years old, I wrote a story about a magic sword, and entered it into my school competition, and I won first place.
Oh, wow. That's
and,
awesome.
and I think my love of fantasy at that time was inspired. My dad loved Lord of the Rings, and
Mhm.
so I read those when I was quite young, and also the Sword of Shannara. So the whole Shannara series by Terry Brooks, and then there was also the whole series by Raymond E. Feast. So he wrote a whole lot of books about magician, and then another author called David Eddings, who wrote a whole lot of fantasy novels. So I was yes, and I still remain a big fantasy fan. So have read lots of fantasy in my life still, and still a massive Lord of the Rings fan. And we live in Aotearoa, New Zealand, where it is known now as being Middle Earth, and the place of
Yeah.
we can go to Hobbiton. We can actually take a drive, and we can visit Hobbiton, the actual movie set, and it looks amazing. It looks like Hobbiton, and it's a lovely place to visit. And
I'm a little jealous.
Yeah.
Like, can we hop in the car with you real quick and go now? Maybe you can send us a video or something. That would be, it's beautiful there. Everything that I've ever seen is just absolutely breathtaking.
Well, there's one place in Aotearoa, New Zealand, that it's in Queenstown, which is in the South Island, and you stand in front of these mountain ranges, and you go, no, they must be CGI'd. And you're physically standing there looking at them and going, no, that they can't be real. They're called the Remarkables, and they are and a lot of, you can see why Peter Jackson said, like, how can we bring Middle Earth to life? We've got this land that can do that, the misty mountains and everything, the plains and the rivers. It is a beautiful country.
Definitely inspiring, and helps with, I would think, if you're an author, like helping with the whole magical realm of it all, like just to be able to be in that.
Absolutely, out in nature. And that's another really nice tip, isn't it? Like, if you're getting a bit trapped and stuck, because we get into it, take yourself away from your normal daily routine and get out in nature, whether it's a walk or a hike.
Yes.
Whether it's by the water or by the trees, just something to reconnect.
Yes. All right. Speaking of when you were a kid, do you have any embarrassing stories you'd like to share with us?
Well, one story was when my family made me, when I was very little. So, and I had to be on stage and singing a song. So my dad was a bit of an entertainer with a guitar, and then he'd kind of we'd get us all doing things. But this one particular song, it was called My Grandfather's Clock, and I was the clock. I had this big thing in there, my face was showing this one clock, and all I had to do was go tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. It wasn't too bad, but it was like, okay, well, I have Mark's sisters, they can sing. Mark, you can just go tick tock. Okay.
Were you able to get through it?
Yeah, I was.
Okay, that's good.
I managed to remember my lines.
Good. Because that could be, it can be tough.
Yeah, right.
Well, is Wilbur there for us to say hi, maybe?
Yes, I think so. Wilbur is. Wilbur, Michaela's just actually come in, and she's going to grab Wilbur, and she might make a little appearance to say hi too.
Awesome.
He was, as I said this morning when I got up, he was looking at me like, why aren't you playing with me? What are you doing? What are you doing? But he's coming in to say hi now. Okay. So I'll move over. This is Wilbur.
Oh, hold on. Let me get him. Oh, there we go. Hello, Wilbur.
Hello.
Hi.
He's
So
one
cute.
Oh.
Rascal.
And there's Michaela.
That's a cute puppy. Hi, Michaela. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us.
No,
all right. Welcome. So we heard you have an activity to walk us and the viewers through called the support tree.
Yes, love to. So awesome. a key thing about we talked briefly about anxiety, and it can be it can be good. It can also be a little bit causing some struggles. And so one thing that's really good in life is to know where your support comes from. And this is something that's quite important for Maggie in the book as well. So all you need is a piece of paper and some colored pencils.
Okay.
Okay, so that's all you really need. And it's quite a simple exercise. We're not going to do any folding. And all we're going to do is called a support tree, literally, because we're going to draw a little tree, well, a big tree. So what we're going to do is just draw, I'll just draw something big enough. So I've just done the base of the tree, like that.
Yep.
And then I'm going to do the grass, a little bit of grass, and maybe some branches.
Okay.
So, and also some roots. I'll just quickly do these little roots.
Okay.
So you just go something like that. So you've got the roots at the bottom, you've got the trunk, and you've got the branches.
Got it.
Right. So what this looks at where you get your support from in your life now, where the support comes from, your roots, so your past, or the things in the past that have given you strength, where your strength is now. So we kind of talk about the base of the tree as being the strength, and then also what your aspirations are for the future. Okay. So I might say one of my roots would have been, where I was born. So where my connection is with in New Zealand, we talk about the whenua, and the Māori people of New Zealand have a very, very strong connection to their land, and they can actually trace their ancestry back hundreds of years. So they can verbally tell you who they were related to. Yeah, so you can actually put some things like that to say, I was actually born in England, so I could put, that I could put England down as one of my roots. That is that I can look at. My mum was born in England. My dad was born in England, so I have a strong connection with that place.
Okay.
I could talk about family. I could talk about my friends that I grew up with as a young person. I could talk about some of the connections I made, whether that's standing on stage and doing TikTok as a cop was a strong root. But it's almost like we talk about where we're grounded. So where are we grounded in the base of the tree? So what are all the different things that have led me to be who I am right now? That have helped shape me. Then the branch of the tree is the strength. So for me, as I am right now, or for anybody else doing this, what are the things that give you strength or meaning or value right now? And so that could be, for me, very much, I would put down my family as one of the key things that gives me meaning and strength. My daughters and my wife and my dog. But those kind of things is my family, and so that's I get my strength on, and also I have quite a strong faith. So I put faith down as an important strength in the middle of the tree. And anything else where I go, this is where I get my meaning. So from friends, and from other things, it might be out in nature as well. So that being outside, going tramping or hiking is something I could put there. So we've got where we've come from as our roots, where we're grounded. Hello, Wilbur. I get my strength from now, and then the branches, the last bit of the tree, the branches, what you hope to do in the future. So some aspirations. So I would have put a while or so ago. Hello, Wilbur. Published author. Now I want to probably put book 2 of Maggie, or maybe that YA fantasy, or it might be that how else I want to live my life, or what things I like to see. So that's the aspirations. Where am I growing to?
Yep.
So and we call it a support tree because it's just a really easy visual that you can say, okay, I am who I am now because of my past and my present and my future. And these are the things that have helped shape me. These are the things which are keeping me strong. And these are the things I'm hoping to go and do.
That's great.
So That's the little
I
activity.
love that. Yeah, thank you. I think that that's great, and I think it's like I'm thinking of like someone putting it up, to be able to look at
Yeah.
different times, because we have our ups and downs. Sometimes we need to look at something that kind of grounds us or reminds us of what we're looking towards or who we can go to for support. So that's
And
wonderful.
it's a lovely thing to talk to with family, to sit down and
Yeah.
you share support tree. It's a lovely thing for the adults to do with the
Mhm.
children, to actually some of the adults to say, oh, actually, this is where I get my strength and support from. And some kids go,
Yeah.
oh. And we have this beautiful tree in New Zealand. It's called the kakatea tree. And it's one of the tallest trees in Aotearoa, New Zealand. And what they actually do, they actually have their root systems grow down and they actually almost hold each other together under the soil. And so
Wow.
when these strong winds come and storms blow, as we often get, that they're actually, you don't see them, they're standing very tall, these trees, but under the soil, they're holding onto each other and they
Wow.
become, yeah, and that's quite a beautiful kind of thought too, that as a family, a lot of your roots will be similar. Yeah, a
That
lot of
is.
your root system are actually holding each other together. Um,
Wow.
be strong. So yeah.
Oh, that seems like that'd be a good like picture book or nonfiction. Mark, get on that one.
Yeah. Another one. Yay.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
Well, before we go, please tell us, will there be more of Maggie's story in the future?
Yes, absolutely. So this is book one. This is book number one of the Wayfinder Girls series. So book number two, I've written the prologue, and the prologue is in the back of Maggie and the Mountain of Light, and I've started the first chapter. So yes, I've got an idea, and it's called Maggie and the Cosmic Landfill. And
Ooh,
what happens is that Maggie finds out that there's a plot from another world to dump all of their waste on the earth because they think that humans don't care for the earth. And
oh,
Maggie and
wow.
the Maggie and the Wayfinder girls have basically got a day to prove to this other world that no, humans do care for the world. The
One
earth.
day.
Yeah, one day.
Well,
Yeah.
all
So it's
right.
so for someone who's a naturally anxious person to have one day to do this is going to be, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a lot, but
yeah.
I look
So
forward to seeing what happens.
it should be fun, and it's yeah, we'll see how we go. So I've got to get in and write it, as you say, and then it's yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, go sit in the mountains and,
Yeah,
get your inspiration and finish up the book 2 so we can, once we read book 1, we can go out and get 2 soon enough.
yes,
Well,
that'd be lovely.
this went by so fast, Mark. Thank you so much for being with us today and, talking about Maggie and sharing your family with us and also the support tree. It's just been great. And so
Wonderful.
thank you so
Yeah.
much.
No, thank you so much. It's been an absolute joy for me too, and I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, to all of our readers, we hope that you enjoyed the show and are inspired to pick up some amazing books. As always, we'll be back next weekend with more KidLit fun. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.